on and all the businesses that are involved. However, we do have, what I like to say, a prestigious, don't want to hit you that one too hard, prestigious guest. Our next guest is a multi-award winning stop motion filmmaker who has worked with the legendary Aardman Studios, the home of Wallace and Gromit. His own film, The Big Bad Wolf, has been shortlisted for international awards and screened at the BFI London Film Festival. Please, ladies and gentlemen of Wellington, can we give a big welcome to Leo Wright, ladies and gentlemen. Leo Wright, thank you very much.
Thanks.
So, Leo, thank you for being with us today. We're very pleased you've come all this way to come and hang out at our little fan fest.
I love hanging out.
Well, I'm very grateful you did. So really, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a stop motion animator, filmmaker and storyteller, and I have been since as long as I can remember. Started out by playing with plasticine in my room, making my own morph animations when I was about 8 years old. And yeah, I mean, I've never wanted to do anything else other than be a storyteller, and animation is the best way of telling stories. It's the most personal and expressive way of telling a story. So I went to study it, and then went and got my training at Aardman, the home of Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run, Timmy Time, and many, many other classics.
Wow.
I know.
I know. We're big, I'm not going to lie, we are big Aardman fans at Boardroom, to the point where you go into the cafe, folks, and you look where the till is. If you look directly up, you will see a brown teapot.
Oh!
And it actually has a Wallace and Gromit ribbon on it. That's how much we show our respect to
Amazing.
to the fandom.
I eat cheese and crackers every day, and that's how much respect I give to Wallace.
That is quite literally my midnight snack, and
Yeah.
I do raise one to the old Wallace and Gromit.
Absolutely.
So this feels like, obviously, it's a big love and a big passion. So where did this love begin?
Well, when I was about 5 years old, when VHS tapes were going out of fashion and DVDs were coming in, I had the Toy Story box set of DVDs, and back then it was only Toy Story 1 and 2.
Oh, that is a box set.
Yeah, with the classics, and I put the wrong DVD in the player, and it was the bonus features, and it blew my mind. And then Wallace and Gromit, I was always fascinated, obviously, with that, and asked my parents how it was made. And yeah, Beano, Roald Dahl, those sorts of things have always been a huge influence on me creatively. And I love character, and I love stories, and I wasn't going to have it any other way, where I was going to have a boss telling me, oh, you need to put this on the shelf in the shop. I was like, no, I'm going to play with plasticine for a living and pick the life of a hard-done freelancer.
No, yeah, as an independent business owner, that is it is a bit of a challenge to. There's always the fun things you want to do when it comes to like having your own side of things, but there's also that pressure of trying to make sure you put a lot of pressure on yourself when it comes to creating things, don't you? And, like, you want people to enjoy it, really.
Yeah.
You want to do something that's good for yourself, but it's that hope that others enjoy it at the same time, isn't it?
If you love what you're doing every day, then you're never going to work a day in your life. And if you love what you're doing, hopefully that comes off in your work when other people watch it, and hopefully that's enjoyable for them too.
No, well, that's it. So, what does stop motion give you that other forms of filmmaking don't then?
Ultimate control and expression. I am very much a perfectionist, and attention to detail. You have complete control of lighting, you have complete control of expression. You act and perform through the puppets. So I'm playing, 4 characters in some of my films. Not necessarily the voice, but I am performing through plasticine. I'm performing through Lego or any other material that you might use. It's the most purest form of animation, and the oldest. And yeah, you've got the physical handmade touch. You see the fingerprints, you see the dust, you see, the hands sometimes if it's gone wrong. It's magical, and you see it come to life in front of your eyes. You take a picture, you move it a bit, you take a picture, you move it a bit, you take a picture, you move it a bit, you take a picture, you move it a bit. And you can then click play, and it's alive. That thing that's existed in your head is tangible and physical in front of you.
So this is definitely a profession that requires patience.
Patience, yes, to a level, or hyper-focus, I would say. I don't really have a great deal of patience with other things in life, but animation, I've got all the patience in the world. I love it. I've spent 18 months on a 7-minute animation, so the world continues around me, and I'm like a rock stuck on a beach.
So obviously you've created so many stories, and you've kind of said this already. Obviously, the big bad wolf is your story. Now, you've got a friend.
Here's Billy, the not so big, not so bad wolf, and he's a vegetarian. He eats carrots and lives in an alleyway. And his little friend is Richmond the pig, named after my favourite sausage. And it's a story of the friendship between a pig and a wolf in a world where pigs are very hostile towards wolves. And I thought it's a message, really, that's very, important now as it ever has been. People aren't very inclusive, people aren't very understanding of what's different from them. And this wolf is the epitome of that in animal form, because the fairy tales always give wolves and foxes in particular a very hard time.
So what drove you to tell that story then? Why was it just a momentary thing like, oh, this will be fun? Or was it like something that happened that made you go, I want to tell this story but through my animation?
Yeah, I hear you. So basically, my previous films have been in my head for years and years and years, like childhood. And then the opportunity came up to make a film at Aardman, and I needed an idea pretty quick. I had about a couple of weeks to pitch an idea, and I'd recently been doing a series of cartoons called The Porky Blinders with pigs and flat caps for my local newspaper, which is in the Black Country. And I decided to adapt that into an animation, bring the wolf into it with Wolverhampton and wolves. And I just came up. Fairy tales fascinate me. I always enjoyed the Three Little Pigs, and the ones that haven't really been done into big blockbuster Disney films, Gingerbread Man, that sort of thing. And more influenced by Ladybird picture books, actually.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to make this into a short film.
Well, see, the fact that you are that creative and you create these wonderful stories, like you say, the Big Bad Wolf. So, how did growing up in the Black Country then influence your storytelling?
Well, I love the Black Country. People give it a hard time, but it's got such a rich history. The dialect is so entertaining, and there's such, not just industrial history, but geological history. It's somewhere where the first settlers in the UK ever began was in the Black Country, so it's as rich as you're going to get history-wise. And my personal family history and ties go way back, several hundred years, and we're involved with the canals and the glass industry and things. So it's ingrained in my family, the love of the area, it's a special interest of mine, local history. And I thought I want to do a love letter to that, and that's why I set the Big Bad Wolf there. But my next film, The Dudley Bug, is very much Black Country the movie. It's the biggest love letter to home, and that's what the Black Country is to me, home.
Well, that's it. And as someone who I actually worked in the Black Country Living Museum
Oh,
for a
amazing.
number of years, and I met many fascinating people. Had to try and learn the dialect. I had to learn what suck shack was.
Oh, a bag of suck.
A bag of suck. There you go.
A Grey's herbal tablet orchid.
Yeah, it took me 2 years to find out what a cob knocker was, when it turned out it was a sandwich.
Yeah, I
and
love
I
a
was
cob
like,
knocker.
what? There you go. No,
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. So. Obviously, the Black Country itself is deep in history. It has a lot of good history, and it has a lot of sort of work conditions that were terrible and they had way people to do. And so sometimes there's a lot of very sensitive stories that come from that. So do you think animation can tackle those more subjects a little bit more gently?
Yeah, the film is about inclusivity. That could be you could take that anyway. I see myself as the wolf, and I think hopefully if people watch the film can see themselves in the wolf. No one really feels like they fit in the world. But you could take it about racism or homophobia or people against ableism and all that sort of thing. But it could be anything, and that's what's beautiful about it, being a wolf and a pig, is you can put yourself into that situation. No matter how you feel, you don't quite fit in. But the Black Country is a proud working class history of socialism and community spirit, and really that's what a stop motion team is. You're a bunch of creatives that doing it for the love of doing it, and it's a wonderful community, and I suppose my time at Aardman was as well. And I think it fits the world of stop motion well, because it's not, whilst it's can have like dirt and smoke and smog, and it wouldn't have been very healthy to live in, the spirit of the people was very, strong.
It is one of the, I mean, I'm very blessed to be part of Wellington, and we have a wonderful community of businesses, and there is a wonderful community of people here. But the Black country folk are a whole different level
Yes.
of how they are very passionate about their history and their love for the place and what have you. So a bit like you with your animation, you're obviously very passionate and love for it.
Absolutely.
You obviously learned a lot yourself, but obviously a lot of people go to universities and colleges and things like that. But you went to Ardman.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, carry on.
I was just say, so what do you think Ardman taught you that you don't think a university?
They taught me the Aardman way, with plasticine, with how you move the eyes. And I got to work with people like David Sproxton, who's the founder of the company, created Morph, and he was lighting the films. I mean, you can't really get better than that in the world of animation to teach you lighting or filmmaking.
So you were Ardman. Yeah, you got to see. Did you get to see any some of the historical?
Yeah.
This was in this movie. This was in this.
So the big bad wolf, Billy the wolf, eats a carrot. That's a carrot from the Were-Rabbit.
No.
Yes, and there's a bakery on the street, and that's all from A Matter of Loaf and Death. The grass is from Shaun the Sheep. The fencing is from every Wallace and Gromit film ever made.
What?
And what else is there? There's a number of things in there.
So where did you create the big bad wolf then? I presume this wasn't in your bedroom, was it?
No, it was in Bristol, in Somerset. And I went to Bristol for 6 months to make the film. It was shot in the same room where the iconic model railway chain sequence was from The Wrong Trousers. Great time to be alive. I mean, it was in, if the walls could talk, I was touching the floor, the hallowed ground.
As again, it's a bit like I said, a big fan myself. I think I would have just been very much gushing over all of that.
Oh, yes.
So while you were there, though, was there a moment of halfway through animating, or you're surrounded by all of this wonderful history and fandom, and you go, I can do this. This is my future.
I had that long before. I mean, probably from about the age of 7, 6, 7, something like that, that perhaps I had an ambition there. I was like, I'm going to be a filmmaker of animation, and I don't honestly think I've never swayed. I mean, I love stories. Oh my goodness, Dobby's in the audience. That really freaked me out. Freaky. So I decided at a very young age that that's what I was going to do. But at Aardman, the real point was after Aardman. The film's done the film festival circuit, and it got shortlisted for the Sony Future Filmmaker Awards, and Sony flew me out to Hollywood for the week. That was when I was like, this is what I want to do. That was a moment and a half.
That is quite bonkers, really. Is there so there's you're off in Hollywood, and you're seeing all these amazing things, and you sort of think, this is all thanks to me just spending quite a long time and a lot of patience, and I took out thousands upon thousands of photos, and now I'm here in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, Richmond and Billy came with me, and that was pretty surreal because I made these characters, in a few weeks, 6 weeks or so at Aardman, and I took them with me. And I have a little story to tell about Billy the Wolf, actually, because I got invited up to the Walt Disney Animation Studios whilst I was over there, and they took me into Walt Disney's office, which for me was like the holy ground.
Yes.
And I took him in, and I was shaking because I was like, oh my goodness, Feed the Birds was playing on the piano, and they were telling me that was Richard Sherman's piano, and Walt Disney sat there, and as an animator, that's a big deal. Well, I was shaking so much, I dropped Billy the Wolf, and his head falls off like that, and it fell on the floor, his ear snapped off. So Billy's ear is somewhere in Walt Disney's office. I've replaced it. Oh. So there's a bit of my character that will forever live on in Walt's office, which, as an animator, that's a nice thought.
That is something, those are stories that you just don't hear about.
I'll take to the grave.
Yeah. So, oh, here we go. Where was that? What I was asking about? So let's back it all the way back up.
Yeah.
Let's back up.
Let's get back.
So you're at the core. You're making your movie, and you love it. And you've already said it, and it doesn't become a job, and that's it. But there's got to be a point of you've got to keep putting the hours in. How do you cope with you're working those all them hours, and you sort of think, right, I've done 8 hours, and how long have I done? Great, I've done 1.5 seconds. I don't know your timescale thing, but like, is there a moment where you go, oh geez?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's actually not the animation. The animation's the fun bit. I've just spent 18 months on a 7-minute animation, but only 12 of those weeks of that 18 months was the animation. It's all the prepping, the editing, the music, the organising, the production. That's what takes the time. And frankly, my new film, The Dudley Bug, which you can come and see over in the Orbit Cinema, because I've got them on display in there. He took 4 months to make that puppet, and it was so cold at the studio, my breath was condensating, which, in this sort of summer sounds quite appealing, but the issue is the silicone and the resin wouldn't set. So it was mistake after mistake. Well, not mistake, it just wouldn't work because of environmental factors, but that was painful. I was losing it a bit there, but I'm a warrior. I decided to do a Ben-Hur and get on my chariot and, carry on.
So what do you think then is the hardest part of creating your films that the audience are not supposed to see, but do you think that the audience will never see?
Yeah.
Is it literally the editing and all of that?
Rig removal is painful. So basically we stick metal rods into their bottoms, which is incredibly painful for my puppets. I highly recommend you don't do that to any humans, But yeah, it was very painful for my puppets. But the thing is, you don't even see that because it helps them stand up. Because they don't move. They would fall to the ground if they were jumping in the air. So I have to erase that frame by frame in the edit.
No, so you're creating your characters. I presume you start with some sketches.
I start with the sketching. I've got a sketchbook on display over there as well, if anyone wants to look. It all starts with an idea that I have to get down on paper as quickly as I can. I'll write it down, and then you work the script through, and then you do thumbnail sketches, which is drawing to the size of your thumbnail. My thumb's fairly big, so yeah. And I draw thumbnail sketches. Then I move on to storyboards, which is essentially a comic book of your film. And then finally, you get building, animate, edit, etc., etc.
So is there a point then when you've gone, right, I've now got to make this character, you've made your framework, you build it. When is that point where you kind of go, okay, it's done? Is there a moment where is it just like, oh, it matches my drawings, that's fine, it's done now? Or is it like this natural form and just go, hang on, no, this is it, it's finished?
Well, I do 1 shot a day normally. That can be about a 6-second shot, so it's very slow. But I know where my last shot is. So basically you have your little wins. It's like, okay, I've finished my storyboard. Okay, I've finished building everything I need to build. Okay, I'm on the last shot. Right now I'm waiting for the final bit of music for my next film and sound design to be done, and then I will finally feel it's done, but it'll be a bit underwhelming because I'll just be sat at home and put an audio file in. No one's around me giving me a big cheer, or anyone who's been involved with that a big cheer, so it's the real joy is showing it to people. I take things around schools, I do a lot of workshops in schools and things, and seeing people believe the characters are alive, laugh along, cry along, whatever it might be.
So this is it. So your characters have grown beyond the film now.
They have.
They have. So could you have ever imagined that happening? Really?
No, I mean, I'm talking to a cuddly toy company at the minute. That's pretty surreal.
Oh, that is exciting. So what is it like seeing your characters part of the community? So because they're a very big part of Black Country now.
Yeah, they're getting known, which is incredibly flattering. I mean, it's wonderful because these characters have been designed to be a love letter to where I'm from, and the area. So the fact that I can, I gift them, if you like, to the world, and people can engage with them, laugh along, take them to schools, and they're doing their own stories with my characters. It's magic.
So Black Country is your home ground. So you've done some work for Ironbridge, I believe, didn't you?
Yeah, this trail.
What did you do for Ironbridge?
So there's a trail that's still running just about now, and it's you get a map. You go around looking for the characters. They're on cartoon boards around the town. You get your stamps, and then you get a lovely little sew-on badge, Oh, it's great.
I think I may have to go into the travel show.
Exclusive collector's item.
Oh,
I know. Yeah, that was good fun.
So, working with other people then, so have you had much opportunity working with us, or has it all been your own work at the minute?
So, Boing Boing the Bouncing Sheep, Mrs. Wilkins and the Magic Handbag, No Man's Land, and The Big Bad Wolf. Pretty much every shot you see and everything we see in that has been made by me. But my new film, The Dudley Bug, has had over 60 people work on it with me.
Whoa.
So I've ramped it up a little bit. And we've got people who've worked on Wallace and Gromit, Creature Comforts, the director, the Clangers, has been involved with it.
It's quite interesting because obviously at the moment what I'm hearing is you are respectfully very successful at this point. Is there a story of something that may have like failed but you've learned from it though?
Oh yeah, I mean you fail every day. It might not necessarily be a story failure, but it might be, oh, that puppet didn't work.
Right.
My first puppet didn't defy the laws of gravity and was kissing the floor the whole time. So, you know, there's things that I've learned and things I do differently about every single one of my films. I think you'd be foolish not to, but yeah, I'm always trying to keep myself creatively on my feet and you know, think about new ideas, new ways of animating, new ways of telling stories. I mean, there's lots of other mediums other than animation I want to explore. I think I pitch for ideas and they don't always work, but they often don't work. But it's just about adapting that, changing it.
This is it, and this is a big thing that I'm a big promoter of. Failure doesn't mean failure unless you give up.
It's a journey.
It is. I think that's where failure is. I mean, I say this to children all the time when I'm doing science things.
Yeah.
I had a science experiment completely fail on me earlier on this morning, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna like, right, I need to adapt that. I'm going to make it better because, you know, why get upset about it? And I think this is the thing. It's about striving, always striving forward. If you give up or stop, that's where your problem is.
I used to be a mad scientist myself. I used to set my hand on fire with butane gas.
I set that gentleman in the green t-shirt on fire this morning. In fact,
yeah, so he's still got his eyebrows.
He's still got both. He's still got both his hands, so that's good. Yeah. So when you see, when you work with children or you see children, do you hope that you are trying to inspire their creativity, and do they then inspire you in a way for something creative?
Oh yes, they do. They have the wackiest, most brilliant ideas. Normally they kill the characters at the end in a giant explosion because they don't quite know how to end the story. But no, I mean, they inspire me, and hopefully the other way around. I mean, their imaginations are just they're limitless. There's no boundaries. It's fantastic. I mean, sometimes I've thought, oh, I want to run off with that idea myself because it's that good. But yeah, I mean, they love my characters and things, which is the biggest compliment, like I say. I mean, you know, animation isn't just for children, obviously, but you know, if they like it, then they're the biggest critics.
They are the biggest, and actually, that's a very interesting point. I think there are some folks where, like, children, I've already said this once today, actually, have the best imagination. Their brains are still programmed to it. As adults have a tendency to grow up, that imagination can fade.
It does.
So, yeah, do you think that is ever faded with you, or do you think it's just as strong now as it was when you were 7 years old?
It's as stimulating as it ever has been. I mean, I've always had quite an extreme imagination and hyper-focus when it comes to writing or coming up with stories ever since I was about 5. And before that, it was when I was playing with toys, I was imagining, like, cinematic epics with my toys. But, you know, no, my imagination's still very much intact. I've got notebooks full of ideas. And also, a top tip for any adults struggling with their imagination: eat some really strong Stilton at about 11 o'clock on the night, and then set your alarm for 2 o'clock in the morning, and just get a notebook and start writing down what you're envisioning with it. But it's very, very useful for stimulating the imagination.
At 2 o'clock in the morning?
Absolutely. I've done it many times.
Is that where the big bad wolf came from? A Stilton tripping sort of
that came from the Black Country, the trip to the Black Country Museum.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, no Stilton.
So, what are you trying that's different with the Dudley Bug then? What's different?
Talking. So a lot of my characters don't talk because it's the most expensive and convoluted way of animating. So the Dudley Bug talks for 5 minutes solid. So I've had to make over 50 mouth replacements to get him talking. Do you know John Homer from the Black Country Museum?
I do know John Homer.
He's the voice of the Dudley Bug.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and he's very characterful, so I'm pushing the character more than I ever have before.
John Homer, he's incredible. For people you don't know, but he is... If you want to, what is the Black Country, you go and speak to John Homer.
Yeah.
So this is great. So we've got a lot of young people here at FanFest. Some might be actually interested in animation, or it doesn't have to, maybe not stop animation, maybe drawing. What is a inspirational thing do you think you could try and say to them to make them so go, right, I want to be like him, I want to be passionate about my project?
Practice, which is a very boring one, but it is a magical thing. Do not succumb to AI or anything like that. Stimulate your own imagination, keep practicing, keep drawing, turn your imagination into reality. It's an amazing thing when you've practiced so much and you can finally draw something from your head on paper, and then you can take that drawing and turn it into a three-dimensional object. Then you can take that three-dimensional object and breathe life into it with animation, and then you have essentially breathed life into the world. So practice, and the world is very accessible. You know, if you've got a tablet or a phone, you can start animating. And if you believe, you can achieve.
Oh, now that is very inspirational.
Yeah, very.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Leo is going to be here. Are you actually going to be until 4 o'clock in the orbit?
Yes, I'm in the orbit, but
just there.
I'm going to look at Lightning McQueen, Mater, and Professor Z, because I'm a huge fan of cars.